Hello. Today, on the week that marks 50 years since Pinochet's bloody military coup, we meet the woman who used her camera to defy the dictatorship. It was dangerous for anyone to capture life in Chile under Pinochet, let alone a woman determined to show society's underbelly of outcasts and the marginalised. Paz Errazuriz is a multi-award-winning photographer, one of Chile's most revered artists, praised for her work denouncing the Pinochet years. Her work is on show at an exhibition called Unfinished Stories at Paris's Maison de l'Amérique latine, or House of Latin America. Thank you so much for being here, Paz. A pleasure to have you. Now, you went under the radar to make some of the most important and dangerous images of Chile in the 1970s and 80s. On September the 11th, 1973, Augusto Pinochet stormed the presidential palace in Santiago and overthrew the democratic socialist government in a violent coup d'etat that would scar Chile forever. Now, at the time, you were a primary school teacher.
Yeah, that's right. I was a primary school teacher, and for the coup, the school asked me to leave. You know, they knew that I belonged to a union and things. You know, they didn't like about my situation at this private school. I am a self-taught photographer, so I had to practice and learn. I built a dark room in my own house that had been searched already by the police, which was very scary. You had to be very careful with everything you did. And then I started earning my life doing children's photography or family photography. At that time, there were no cameras like today. And at the same time, I met this group of photographers, and we decided to found an association called Independent Photographers, which had to be done to protect ourselves, in the street. The police respected very much foreigner journalists, but not us. And in this way, we could be a bit safe.
You must have been one of maybe the only female photographer, one of the only female
in
photographers.
Between all of them, exactly, we were 6 women photographers.
You had 2 small children at the time.
I had 2 small children. I had to be very careful what to do and how you did things. But this practice in the street was also a militancy, political militancia, a way to fight dictatorship from wherever you could. So photography has been very helpful for me.
Well, the coup, it led to almost 2 decades of military rule that saw thousands of people killed and more disappeared. There was torture. There were people detained in concentration camps. But you stayed away from that horror. You didn't photograph that. Instead, you turned your camera on marginalised communities.
Yeah, but
Why?
I did part of the street. I did quite a bit of the street. I wanted to do it. Certainly other photographers did better because they only wanted to do that, but I had my interest, as you say, like parallel things. Since I had been in the street for so feeling kind of safe in a way, contradictory, but I decided to follow some obsessions I had, as a woman. For instance, feminism at that time for me was a big word. I was, how could I be a feminist? What does it mean to be a feminist? So that's also interesting because I developed that part also. And one of my first works was with women prostitutes. I was young and education or sexual education in my country was null, and I had so many questions, and I started working with them for quite a while, but they asked me please not to show the photographs, because they had family, their grandmother, their daughter or whatever. Prostitution was forbidden. Brothels were forbidden. So I never thought about showing my work. And they personally introduced me to two transvestite brothers.
That was part of the series, the Adam's Apple project that you did. You began in 1981.
For 4 years with curfew. It was difficult, but I liked so much how it was developing all this friendship, because my work is dedicated to their mother. So I met the mother, I met their lives, I was in their house. And of course, I don't start photographing immediately. I wanted them to know what my plans were. It grew a wonderful friendship, and I could be in these clandestine places where they could dress up because they work at night.
Sort of on the outskirts of society.
Exactly.
Now, Paz, you're the first Latin American female photographer to be offered the Guggenheim Fellowship. Your work's been shown all over the world, and the Paris show is curated by Beatrice Andrea. We asked her about her favourite photograph. Take a listen.
Je crois que je choisirais quand même El Caminante qui...
I would pick El Caminante, the walker, at the start of the exhibition, because it, in my opinion, reflects her political engagement. We see a man who is walking, and we can't tell if he's drunk or if he's dancing. But it does a good job of depicting the state of Chilean society, literally worn down by Pinochet's ascent to power.
L'accession au pouvoir de Pinochet.
Paz, tell us about the photograph that she chose.
Well, I like that very much because it's a sequence with film, and there's only those 3 frames, only 3, working with film, analog photography, you have to compose and be very sure what you're doing. Now I work with digital photography, and you take hundreds of photographs for each one. So I'm very proud for that. I was in my car. I look at the window, and that was happening. So I took 3 shots and I left.
And that was it? That was the result?
To know nothing about him. I feel sorry, but I think it's an homage to him, what I did. I hope he could have seen this photograph sometime. But
now, Paz, half a century has gone by since the coup, and Chileans remain deeply divided between those who defend the coup 50 years on and those who condemn it. Are you concerned about the next generation?
I'm very, very concerned because for the first time we have this left-wing government, a democratic government, really. And right-wing doesn't like this, they call it like experimental government. Right wing is very strong, and still we have to work on the new constitution, which is in their hands at the moment. I feel very, very difficult and very sad, in fact. I'm very sad for Gabriel Boric, the president, and I hope he can do the best and win. Because today, 2 days ago, there's been such a big not celebration, it's a commemoration for the 50 years, even here in Paris, which is I have been very touched by this. And there have been many events also here in Paris, including my exhibition is in this context, you know, to commemorate the 50 years. So wow, yeah, help.
You feel moved.
See, it's tragic in a way, but I still have hope, and young generations hope can fight for this, you know.
Okay, Paz Errazuriz, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us and sharing with us your memories of the work that you did all those years ago. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Your first solo exhibition in Paris, Unfinished Stories, is on until the 20th of December at the Maison de l'Amérique Latine. The show will present more than 120 photographs from 25 different series taken over the years. We'll leave you now with another photography show taking place in Paris at the Pompidou Centre called Corps à Corps, or Body to Body. It offers a unique look at photographs of the human race in the 20th and 21st centuries. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Liberté, égalité, actualité.